All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and open tonight's meeting. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I can't see who all's out there in Zoom land, but we're going to go ahead and go with our roll call to begin with. So I'd like to call Ron Evans.
Here.
Emily Schofield.
Here.
Danny Nielsen.
Here.
Is Tony Moronis out there? No. And Janet Hall is excused for this evening as well. So I'm Tim Kirsch as chair. I would say thank you, everyone. I'd like to ask anyone that if they have any potential conflicts of interest to state those for the record. If not at this time, one comes up later, be sure and state it for the record. And then we'll go to announcements. Does anyone have any announcements that they would like to make to the folks here tonight? Hearing nothing, we'll open for public comment. There's nobody here in person for public comment. So if there's nobody out there on the Zoom raising their hand, then we're going to go to our consent agenda. And that has on it the approval of the March 3rd regular board summary notes. Everybody had an opportunity to review those summary notes.
I move approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded for approval of the summary notes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, we're gonna turn it over to Mr. Evans for his treasurer's report. Anything you'd like to
Yeah,
elaborate on?
just this afternoon, so I didn't get it out to everybody, we got an update on the billing for the month of, March. And, with that billing, our account level for our total account level right now is $11,000. That's what we have left, and we're still looking at 3 months until the new
Okay,
2025 or 26.
so we gotta be conscious of any expenditures for sure.
They are working on getting us a supplemental, at least $60,000. It's in the works right now. We're trying to get that to us, perhaps more. That's in the works. It has been for some time.
Okay. Anything else on that treasurer's report we need to?
It's with the next month, Laura's gonna do a resolution so we can transfer the remainder of our contingency, which is sitting at $9,000 now. And put that back into managerial, because right now managerial is basically tapped out, so.
Right,
So she'll do a resolution for that for next month, and we can arrange for that to happen, so I can have that money to pay.
to pay the bills.
Yeah,
Okay, very good.
that's it, treasury.
Any questions for Ron on his treasurer's report?
No questions.
If not, do we take a motion to accept it?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded twice. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Who was the first? Who was the first? Emily was, okay, thank you. There was, sorry, Mary, I didn't see you were trying to get in, so I've got you now.
All right, moving right along, our item F is our county update with Chris Imo here. Chris,
Mr. Chair, you okay if I stay here, or I can come up?
you're fine to me, yeah, right there.
Yes, it's been a lot happening. I apologize. I did not get a written report to this board, so I'm just gonna talk through an update this week. But yeah, there's been a lot of movement on the project. We're very excited. First and foremost, that Senate Bill 1189 that went forward, that was written to give us opportunity to begin a construction, not operation, not discharge, but just begin construction of the plant during this rulemaking process. That passed through the Senate unanimously today. So now it's going on to the House. And yeah, again, that is a very limited bill that allows us to meet the ARPA timelines we need to meet while still giving the rulemaking advisory committee time to go through a much larger update to the previous rule. On that note, also the rulemaking advisory committee on the three basin rule had its first meeting last week. Just to give this board an overview of the schedule, the plan is to have 2 more meetings between now and June. The public hearing target would be in September with the goal of presenting the revised rule to the EQC in November. And all that can be found on the DEQ's website. They have a page for the committee. So with that said, the likely timeline we've heard is probably a 6-month or maybe a slightly longer process for the NPDS permitting. And that can begin once the rulemaking is complete. So that puts us somewhere in the time frame of middle of 2026 to actually have the discharge permit. So our goal is to make sure that our construction timeline aligns with that. In order to make that work and in order to meet the ARPA deadline, we are going to be pushing to begin construction in June. So it's coming up fast. So that's it. The last item I have for the board is that Marion County has received the contractor's guaranteed maximum price proposal.
Mhm.
So the GMP proposal, that is in this alternative delivery, GMP is really the big construction action. Because we already have slated constructors under contract. They've been in a pre-construction phase, doing some early work and actually procuring some of the equipment that takes a long time to get to us. So with the GMP proposal, that's where we actually go into it becomes a construction contract. So once we have that, they'll be able to mobilize, probably within about a week. And so our goal is to try to get that process done in May. The first step is for them to put together the big GMP proposal. I mean, it's about 1,600 pages.
Yeah,
So we have to go through review all of that, make sure we've negotiated all the prices, try to get to a final contract, which then goes to our board for review. And once our board is able to approve and execute a contract, then they'd be able to mobilize on the site. And so our timeline for all of that, you know, it's very aggressive, but it's necessary for the project is to try to get everything mobilized so construction is going by June. So when we come back to this board next month, we should have a more recent update on what is happening with the construction project. Then, of course, as part of that, we also have to complete an internal construction estimate, independent cost estimate, as well as our internal review. So we're gonna be busy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Focused on this. But you know, it's all moving along. These are all the pieces are moving as expected. And this is all kind of right in line with what we need in order to meet the ARPA timeline of December 2026.
well, we always know it's gonna be tight, so but we appreciate all the work you're putting into it. Questions for Chris? Anybody have any questions here for Chris? Anybody out there in Zoom land have any questions for Chris? Appears that there's none. All right, thank you very much. Any agency updates, DEQ, Business Oregon, Regional Solutions, anybody have anything they would like to add as an update?
Chris pretty much covered sort of the activity with DEQ. We did provide feedback on the House bill to construct without a permit. As he said, we went through the 3 basin rulemaking on March 31st. The next 2 weeks we will get comments. There was some pushback, I think, from many people in the Rules Advisory Committee about allowing a direct discharge. We had both indirect and direct. Marion County, of course, is going for an indirect. So we are considering that. I think the pushback was just potential for more releases into the water bodies. So we'll see how that goes. We met with Keller and Associates in Marion County last week to go over the 90% design. Had some good back and forth with Keller and Associates in Marion County. And they'll make adjustments based on our comments. And then next step for us will be getting 100% design that we will then look at and give comments again. And we're expecting, I don't know, because I can't remember if you gave us the 1200C. That's a stormwater construction permit for the work starting in June. It doesn't take us that long to issue that permit, so we still have plenty of time if we haven't gotten it already. It takes about a little over 6 weeks to issue a permit of the stormwater permit just for the wastewater treatment. We're not worried about gates at this time. We'll get a different stormwater permit for that particular part of the project. So with that, I don't know if there's any comments from the board or anybody on Zoom land.
Hearing things are still on time, so I'm happy, no comments here, but I think Chris has something that he'd like to add.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to note that the 1200C permit for the project has been submitted through the DEQ portal. I believe it was the week of the 22nd or 27th, I'm not sure. Anyway, recently, so DEQ should be seeing that in its review queue, and that's one of the elements of our construction delivery plan.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Mary? If nothing, then we're gonna move right along to our staff report. Laura, do you have anything that you would like to report on?
Sure, and I will also look to Counselor Schofield because she was involved in quite a few things that are in that staff report. So just sort of nod when you say I want to talk about that. So it was a really fun March and early April. So we worked. Let's see, let's start with the financials. So as the treasurer has mentioned, you all have about $10,000 left in your bank account, and next month you'll have to do a resolution to move funds out of contingency and into your materials and services. Knowing that, Marion County is very aware of that and has been working hard to find additional funding for that. So they have an Amendment 3 proposal in the queue. I think they're also reaching out to Lynn County about the possibility of sharing some of that expense. Lynn County has been interested in supporting MSA. So those conversations are going to be happening. Of course, it takes time to move those contracts through big organizations. So it might get a little tight coming into June or July. COG is aware of that, and we'll do what we can to, use your remaining funds as judiciously as possible. That said, this is also a time when there's quite a bit of work that is going to be done on your behalf, especially with the legislature. So let's talk about the legislature real quick, because that was a really exciting moment. We did coordinate with the county and Senator Girard's office to ensure that NSSA and the cities had submitted written testimony on the Senate hearing for Senate Bill 1189 to the Senate's Natural Resources and Wildfire Committee. And so Chair Kirsch submitted testimony on behalf of NSSA. I believe the city of Gates submitted testimony, COG submitted written testimony, and then Emily was also able to be there in person.
Yeah, I gave verbal testimony in front of the committee supporting the Senate Bill 1189.
Good.
Yeah. I had a speech prepared, but didn't have to give the whole thing because everything that was in there was covered by Marion County, but yeah, it was exciting.
That's a quick 90 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And they were supportive of the rebuild of our communities, so. Yeah.
Well, it worked well because they passed it with 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, very nice.
I would characterize it as a very nice exchange between the chair and yourself talking about wildfire recovery. So
Right.
there was time spent that way, a relationship building spent that way. So yes, that moved on, through the Senate process. Thank you very much to Senator Gerard, of course, for, Patterson as well, I think was the co-signer on that, moving forward with that. So, and that was definitely a collective effort of various folks at Marion County. So of course, Brian Nicholas, Chris Imo, Commissioner Cameron, KJ Coffin, probably more, but lots of folks. Oh, and City of Salem was also there, and did submit written testimony in support, but also was at the hearing in case called upon for questions. So Brian was there. I see you looking at, so if you have a comment, go ahead. I'm the only one that can see you right now because we don't have a big screen. Okay. So that was a good moment at the Capitol, despite all the construction, and many thanks to everyone that could be there to support. I should say also the lobbyist for the City of Salem and the tribes was also there, who Emily knows and has known for quite some time. So that was a old friends moment.
Yeah.
As well. So good effort by all, felt very collaborative there. Let's see, so then moving on to the Rules Advisory Committee, I did sit in on, as a purchased listener to that conversation. It was about a 2.5 hour conversation. I don't recall if anybody else from the board was able to listen in on any part of that, but definitely a good start to that process. So, and we don't have a date for the second meeting yet, but we'll be listening in on that as well. And then having some follow-up meetings kind of post that meeting with, of course, Marion County and others to talk about, just debrief on that and that one. And everyone kind of agreed that was a great first meeting, and looking forward to an ongoing conversation, and that conversation will evolve over time. So let's see. I think the other thing that I wanted to note was that the City of Gates City Council invited NSA to come talk to them last Thursday night. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what came out of that?
Oh, yes. So essentially, Laura and I had been discussing Gates' involvement in co-ownership of the wastewater treatment facility. It was something I know that was discussed previously with the council and kind of decided that maybe we wouldn't be able to afford that as a community, or as a city, but we want to take another look at that and see kind of financially what that looks like as a city. So there was an overall unanimous decision to move forward with that.
So taking that direction, I definitely shared that message with Marion County, who is working with their financial consultants, and looking at some rates to make sure that the next rate report, I think it's probably broader than just the rate report, much broader than that, but I don't know what you would call that. Anyway, will be coming forth, and so making sure that the assumption around Gates possibly owning that facility was in their next report. If, of course, if other cities further up in the canyon are interested in having that same look, please let us know, because that report is being developed now. So now is the perfect time to start to have them look at scenarios that include those assumptions. So to be clear, the City of Gates has not made a final decision about ownership. All they're asking for right now is information. If we were to be a joint owner of that asset, of that Mill City treatment plant, what would that look like? So similarly for Detroit and Indiana, if you were interested in seeing that scenario, now is the time to signal that to those consultants so they could work that in and give you that information. Not looking for a decision, just asking you if you want that information at this point. Let's see. I think those are the highlights of my staff report. The one piece that sort of wasn't in the staff report was the Gates City Council decision. That was sort of a late hour conversation. And so I think I had sent out my staff report before that came. So I wanted to make sure this board was aware of that. And any questions on my staff report?
I would say not question, but I have comment, obviously. So many years ago, when we first started with the sewer authority, the original plan had the sewer authority owning the sewer treatment plant, as well as all those other components and stuff like that. So all the cities were gonna be initially, basically owners of it. So whether it works out as the sewer authority or just the cities combined, is still, I wanna say, on the same path as what the original path was. And it's all there, the devil's all in the details, like always, right? Intergovernmental agreements and things like that. So, I look forward to the opportunity to work with our sister cities and something like that. So, that's just me, hopefully everybody else does too.
Mhm.
Okay? Anybody else have anything they would like to ask a question of Laura, or any comments on her staff report? Nothing heard. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add to tonight's meeting? Any comments on anything moving forward? If there's nothing there, then I suppose we can go ahead and close tonight's meeting. I want to thank everyone for showing up via Zoom or in person. We'll see you all early next month.
Thank you.